is the year 2005. The treacherous Decepticons have conquered the Autobots' home planet of Cybertron. Cybertrons. Cybertron. Cybertrons. Cybertron. Cybertrons.
Now returning you to the Children of Primus.
All right.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Mm-hmm. The entire time that intro was playing, my cats were fighting on the cat tree right there, and I was like,
Done.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. Another Frenzy Freestyle Sunday after I believe we were off last weekend.
Mm-hmm. For Easter.
And our guest this week, Nectar Mechanics, who is a Transformers Blender Animator, who, if anyone who's not familiar with the program Blender, it's basically it's an animation program. You can also do 3D animations. And I came across his YouTube channel a couple weeks ago where he did a video with Jazz, Blaster, and Soundwave, which I found really cool in terms of just the essence of the video. And I reached out to him, and he's like, "Yep, we're gonna hang out this week."
Mm-hmm. All right, super. And we discovered that right on stream too, so I'm exactly familiar with his work.
Nice. And there's a lot of comments coming in that we will catch up with shortly.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we'll bring him in within 5 minutes. And what reveals do you guys have for this week?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a minute I'm going to have some pizza coming through, so that's going to be a thing.
That's the reveal.
Yeah. There we go. Well, no, a couple of very essential. Okay, he has a giant mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Super
A couple
Mario.
things came in on my end. More Beast guys. The latest in the long line of Beast Wars updates, which is Legacy Silverbolt, came through. Scott McNeil's Dudley Do-Right-esque heroic Fusor character from the second season. The fourth guy to be played by Scott McNeil, who did like half the voices on the show. And the little tiny Beast Machines version of Cheetor they did.
Yeah. I got him too.
It's kind of funny because this is the sequel series to Beast Wars, and it was controversial. So they put it in the line because they wanted it in there somewhere, but they only gave us a minifigure.
It works out a lot better if you remove the pegs.
What pegs?
The ones that connect if you want to give me the bigger screen. So you can see how this is as far as this leg would go normally with the peg that connects the thigh to the animal and human pelvis.
Mhm.
He can scratch the back of his head if you remove the peg.
Oh, interesting.
And then without the peg under the arm to the pectoral, you just get a more easier movement because otherwise the peg keeps on catching. And so if it was without the peg, it would probably be like, it would keep on getting snagged. Then there's a peg on the tail to connect into the back. I removed that because I was like, nope. There's a big old square peg. I took that off. And then there was pegs on the one sword. So when you had it plugged in onto what shoulder was it? We'll get it plugged in here.
Yeah. So what I will actually do is keep him in his original condition for the inevitable review and photography, and then when the review is done, take out the X-Acto knife and the sander and get to work shaving all those off.
I'm not on here 2 minutes, and you guys are already talking about pegging. I thought he said don't.
No. The opposite, like the removal of it.
But yeah, the one sword had like 2 pegs, one on both sides, so it kind of ruined the symmetry of them. And you could still do the two-handed thing because you can fit like one from the top and one from the bottom, so there's no need for them for that. And then you take one of the pegs that you removed and just put it to fill in the hole. No, this is not this type of channel, people. To fill in the hole with the sword that has the hole and not the pegs on it.
Could have fooled me.
Like Toy Warp's walking in like, what am I coming into? But yeah, Toy Warp didn't see the big giant mushroom.
Just like
so. I'm done. I'm out already.
He's like, Steven's been doing drugs again. No.
It's like, did I log into the right
Magnus.
channel? What's happening here?
Mr. Magnus, since I know you watched X-Men 97, where is
I haven't watched all of them. I haven't watched all of them.
Did they just dump that, like all the episodes, or we?
No, they're doing little bits. So I got the Executioner. And this is the comic he first appeared in. Was this?
Yeah.
So hopefully they do right by him. Because he's basically like he's the human answer to Magneto combined with like the morality, the Punisher. So he's not like, I want to kill all mutants. He just wants to kill the ones who got away with like murder and manslaughter and maiming people and stuff like that.
So this week, like I said, I got a big reveal. My Pengu Toys PT-01.
Big Optimus.
Yeah, he's a monster. I've already got him out of the box over here.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah. Among other stuff. One.
So is it just like
2?
It's transformable, or is it a...
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, it transforms. It looks like he crawled right out of the 1986 cartoon.
Yeah. I wonder what he's like, if it's a completely original like design, or if it's derived from one of the masterpieces, or like or some other design.
I have no idea, but he does have his jetpack.
Oh, nice.
I mean, Sideswipe's jetpack.
Yeah, Sideswipe's jetpack.
That is true.
But yeah, I haven't got to play with him much, but yeah, he's a monster, and he's heavy.
I can tell.
He's almost as heavy as that giant Minosaur set that I've got over there.
How much of it is metal?
On the outside, I don't see much, but like the tips of his feet are steel and they're thick. All of his joints are metal. His grill's metal. Yeah, he's got a lot of steel pins in him.
Yeah, I can see the ones on his arm.
Oh, yeah. Comment from Duck. Welcome, Duck. Says, yeah, it's based off the Magic Square Light of Peace Optimus.
Yeah, okay. So the second Magic Square Optimus that they did.
Yeah, he's a monster.
No, I'm just wondering if you can claim that on your taxes, because it's the size of a small child.
Beneficiary, dependent.
Rise of the Beast Studio Series Scorponok, the recent most Junkion, and then this would be more for Mr. Magnus and Rashid, Jack-o'-lantern, Spider-Man. So him and Executioner are my favorite Spider-Man and X-Men villains. And they both had them there together, so I was like, oh, I'll get them both. I'll try to transform this guy in a bit.
Nice. So
or
our
right
main,
now.
our main topic.
I picked him up for $120 shipped off of Transformers Liberated. Guy had him for sale.
Whoa,
jeez, that's good value.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, he's like $175.
That's still cheaper than I thought it would be. Laying eyes on it. Wow,
A lot less than I expected.
I would have pegged it at like $300.
What is it with you and pegging tonight?
No,
As soon as it was out of my mouth, I was like,
yeah, brand new. You can pick them up for like $175, $180. You know, just under $200 shipped.
Jeez.
So as Make It Unsuck, welcome. His comments, his or her comment said oversized Magic Square Optimus, and Professor D says, yeah, now that Pangu Optimus might be the most oversized of all oversized KOs. And our main topic or guest, I should say, for this evening is he's chilling in the background as B from Nectar Mechanics in the green room. And I noticed his videos on YouTube, and the one that particularly stuck out to me was his video with the classic blaster and Soundwave fighting, and then Jazz jumps in to help out. But the essence of the video I was really impressed with, and it's also his, the animation that he works on. So I'm going to bring him in and then catch up on all the comments that have been jumping in. So welcome, B.
Oh, Bowie, Grana, Weep, Nitty Bomb. Hello.
Hello, kind sir.
There we
Welcome
go.
back. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Hey.
And the sound is working. So
yes, I'm not entirely sure what happened, but tech issues.
Whenever we have tech problems, we always say it was Soundwave's fault.
Soundwave is trying to interfere with the transmission right now.
Yeah. So let's catch up on all the comments before we welcome our guest. So
hey, hi Dom.
This is, yeah, I'm here lurking Nectar and Metal B.
Hello. I recognize some of these names.
Nice.
You brought your whole gang with you.
Yep.
Yeah. I put the word out, and I was like, hey, if you got a spare hour or so, just come have a look. I was hey, hello. And Luca again, yep.
See, I'm just imagining an iguana saying hype, 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 just because of the image.
Oh, and lurk. And also lurk hype.
My Jazz is in alt mode at the moment. He can't do the hands.
I was just going to say same thing. That's why I was looking behind me.
Yeah, I don't know how well you can see, but I tried to put the collection in the background as best as I could.
Yeah, I immediately noticed because of the Titans. It's a heck of a display.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was like, if I'm gonna get the Titans, they need to be out. They need to be shown because they have such a presence as well. And then of course I got all the I got like the nano figs, the little metal ones. Because
nice.
they're absolutely tiny. I thought, yeah, put those together, it'd be great.
Yeah. Is that a G1 Superion on the far right?
No, so on the far right, that is Combiner Wars Superion. Combiner Wars is one of the first sort of bits Transformers I started collecting. And we got Defensor. I figured you'd like that spin. What with your backdrop? I've got Defensor that side. Again, Combiner Wars, but he's got some 3D printed upgrades because the proportions were not great on that original figure. But yes,
I always forget how big Titans are, so that my sense of scale is ruined on that. I thought those were the G1 guys.
Yeah, oh god, the Titans always look so much smaller in pictures, and then you get them in hand, and you're like, okay, it's bigger than my cat. Fair enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have pizza for my wonderful fiance.
Hey.
We don't need lactose pills, right?
Nope, we're good. Hey, this is a relevant concern.
This is true.
This is lactose free. Anyway.
AJ Lag says Blender Animation A. And
Hey, yes, yeah. I'll get more into that later, but yes, Blender's the topic.
Well, Lucas says, "Yay, Nectar Mechanics is awesome. You should stick around."
Thank you.
James Coleman, another usuals in our guests. Hope you guys had a good Easter. We've got Transformers Legacy United Animated Optimus Prime and Autobots Stand United 5-pack starring Wheeljack, Trailblazer, Jazz, Streaker, and Hound.
Ooh.
And hobbies with Jose says, "Ooh, nice. Jazz and Hound are great."
Yes, although I will say, Jose, your Hound custom's still better than the multi-pack.
Oh, what did they do?
Oh, they took a detritus before the pack was announced and customized it. And of course, being a custom, you don't have a paint budget. So they're able to just get all the missing details, which is great.
Just in infinity colors, yeah. Yeah, it'd be a wonderful set if it weren't for somebody like me who already owns everybody in that pack except the Hound. So
yeah, well, that's what they do, right? They're like, oh, you want Hound at what cost?
Yeah.
Make it on
I'm waiting for the 86 pack they'll do at some point. They'll do an individual release, him and Sunstreaker.
Cool, I really need a Buzzworthy Wheeljack. And
the Origin one, yeah.
1 minute and counting. Well, we're a few minutes in, but it's Shiva Kobe. Welcome once again. This is not Transformers related, but I got a Magnum PI mobile playset, $100 regular price for 25% off. That is cool. I didn't know that was a thing.
Speaking of old cars, real quick, the leaks have confirmed that the obvious Knight Rider Transformers collaborative is going to be coming.
Hey.
Yeah. That because it's one of the most easy layups in existence. So we've been surprised before on the show they hadn't done that yet. Now it's happening.
Is that going to be a wind charger pre-tool or?
You know what? That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be if Run Amok. If Run Amok isn't already, if Run Amok isn't already a wind charger, knockoff, the same mold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because it's new stuff and I don't keep up with new stuff, but I do know that I saw something that said that they were not only going to do kit, but they were going to do car as well, which kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Oh, that would be cool. Run Amok and Runabout being a kit and car kind of team up.
And actually, you could take your car to TFCon, and if Peter Cullen's there, have him sign it because he did the voice for car.
This is correct. Metal B says that's a good mushroom, referring to Sedum's mushroom earlier. And that's a big prime.
Yeah, they didn't have the Transmetal 2 Megatron, so
you got a big mushroom.
Mushrooms and I like mushrooms, so I used to do a bunch of outdoor photography. So
he's already pegged it, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Shit.
Never try to stream while under the influence of large mushrooms.
Don't. Make it on Sex is 97 X-Men rock so far. I've heard a lot of good things of it.
I can confirm.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't managed to watch it.
Yeah,
Before it aired, everybody was like,
saw me holding this up earlier. Got the Executioner.
Hey, that's such a good design.
Monday.
Oh my gosh.
I like it better than the original. I mean, the original figure was nice from the Toy Biz in the 90s, and I got the comic he originally appeared in, which was
I was gonna say, I could have sworn he was a comic book one before the show, because they
yeah, if they do him right, in terms of his characterization, they'll have it turn out that, because in the comics he's not just blatantly against all mutants like he seems to be since he's with the Friends of Humanity. But if they're going the comic book route, what it might be is that he was an FBI agent in the comics before he became this guy, but he might be undercover because his mentor in FBI was a FBI liaison to Starro's Xavier. So he might be undercover to find out who was all in on the attempted assassination of Xavier, because as far as the world knows, he got assassinated. They don't know about Lilandra pricking him up and take him into space and all that. And then in the comic, he's basically initially he's like kind of like in terms of his motivations, he's like the human side of equivalent of Magneto mixed with like Punisher morality. So
that's interesting. I'm excited to see how they do him in the show because like I gotta say like I have some X-Men knowledge from some of the comic books and stuff, but not of his character. So it's one of the few things where I'm not like a super diehard nerd, so I do take things a bit more at like face value with the shows. Mm-hmm. So I just hope they get him right for the general audiences like me.
So yeah, if they do like with the emphasis, so he has connections with like Rogue, especially because at one storyline he kidnaps her because he sees her as being responsible. He doesn't see the Mayan slaughter, the unintentional, like how she puts Cody into a coma, her boyfriend, the guy when her powers first manifest. And that's sort of like Rogue is sort of the person who gets him to start questioning and having a more gray morality. And then in the other story, he kidnaps Rogue again, but in order to attract Gambit, and with the whole love triangle with like Gambit, Magneto, and Rogue. That would be an easy shoe-in with him being in the current season. And then he also, in his second appearance, because he's like very tech-savvy like Cable, who we got baby Cable via the Goblin Queen Madeline Pryor, the clone of Jean Grey, who pops up in the third and fourth episode. And in the comics, he gets into the X-Mansion to attack them by hacking and piggybacking off of Cable's tech-based teleportation to get into X-Mansion and start attacking X-Men that he sees as criminal. So Cable being a big emphasis point in this season 2 makes him a good choice, a very good choice to have over a villain.
Cool. So Make It Unstuck had one question there we go. Is low-end resources still the biggest? So I guess someone can answer that and catch up on the comments again.
I'm going to be putting this monstrosity away. Oh, shit.
It's a flood of positivity.
That is a joy to see. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yep. So he is McGowan in real life.
Cool.
Just tapping away.
Yeah, Freakenstein, how's it going? What's up, all you bots? Just got done doing a mini con yesterday and got some amazing scores. Hope all you bots are doing well. I'm doing well, and it looks like everyone else is doing well.
I was gonna say, Freakenstein knows a lot about third parties. He'd probably know if Llewellyn Resources was still the biggest optimist or not, because I don't know third parties.
Freak, if you're still with us, I'm William Glenn.
Cool. Shiva Koi said, I didn't know the Magnum PI Playmobil set was a thing either until I walked into a local toy store that specializes in Playmobil, and I already have the following in Playmobil kit: Scooby-Doo van, A-Team van, and Back to the Future DeLorean. The kit and the DeLorean and light up.
Why is it that Playmobil, which is like a Fisher-Price type, like bulky knockaround thing for little kids, has so much like 80s and 70s stuff?
Oh,
like,
I don't know, but I know like in a lot of the car toy, the toy car groups, everyone's like really pushing the Playmobil up. It's this is better than any original was out, and I was like, the original Knight Rider car from Kenner was just freaking amazing in its detail. The one that actually had the Michael Knight action figure to set in it, and I still think it looks better than Playmobil's.
They make the A-Team van, they make Magnum PI, they make all this stuff. I'm like, I wonder why this became their niche, because you'd think that they wouldn't be pursuing licenses like that because it's like knock around Fisher Price type stuff. Unless I'm mistaken about it, but
it's got to be some sort of like, I don't know, like obviously it's got to be doing well for them financially, but like I guess when you're in that sort of you have your niche, like if they did a Transformers one, yeah, you're gonna go, oh, it's like a cute Playmobil Optimus Prime or something. Like you don't buy it because you're collecting all of them, you're buying it because it's like a cute version of what you already like. Is my understanding. I could be wrong. I'm not in those
Great,
fan
like
groups,
Funko
but...
Pops just with cars.
Yeah, exactly. I like some Funko Pops, but when they started doing the NFT stuff the other year, it was like, stop. No, unnecessary.
Playmobil's like the better version of Funko Pops because they like do stuff.
So Shiva Kobe says they have an Aston Martin James Bond set that includes Goldfinger and Sean Connery's James Bond.
For little kids.
Exactly. And Frankenstein says, yeah, I've been busy, James, making deals so everyone can get discounts for Transformers. Hope you're doing well. So as we put the focus back on B, I'm going to run your video in the background and ask some questions while we're while we have you on. So this is the video that that got my attention, and unfortunately I won't play the audio just to avoid YouTube's algorithm issues with copy strikes and stuff.
I play copyrighted music in it. I got away with it somehow, but
well, with YouTube they're pretty brutal, because if anything that's copyrighted like during the middle of a live stream, they'll just cut it. So you get a strike and then the stream would just end instantly.
Oh, they cut the stream. I forgot about that. Yeah. I think Jose was talking about having similar and stuff a few months back. Yeah, because he live streams too. That's where I learned a lot of the stuff from.
I watched this today, and that the transformation for Jazz looked really smooth.
Thank you. I'm actually I don't know how much you want me to go into the. I'll try my best to explain it, because everything with Blender 3D modeling sounds more complicated than it is, because they have all these technical names, but all it just means is like the cube slides from left to right or something. Like it's always really simple. It just sounds complicated. So like getting the transformations to look as smooth as they do, they're actually, I build whatever they turn into first. So, the Blaster's boombox, Jazz's car, whatever, like whatever it is, you build the vehicle mode first, because then I can cut that up into chunks, add the extra robot parts, and sort of put it back together. And because the vehicle was built first, the proportions are correct. They don't stretch. If you did it robot mode first, they'd look good for robot, but maybe look really super deformed, sort of chibi style in the vehicle mode. But the cool part is that you can almost, in the animation software, save poses. That's how any of the animation's done. So if I make a pose that's them in the vehicle mode, if I just save those, they will always perfectly line up. So that right there where he slides down, he starts as the car. I move that to the end of the timeline. I go back to the start, do him as a robot, and the computer wants to pull him back to how he used to be, which is why it looks so smooth. An awful lot of this is like, trying my best to fiddle, because sometimes it likes to get from A to B as quickly as possible, and that doesn't always look very nice. So like when Soundwave gets off the table there, he just wanted to slide up into the robot, so I had to add the little hop there. There you go. Little things like that. So yeah, if you have any questions or anything at all, like I'm more than happy to talk about it.
I was going to say,
I just love that you kept it realistic. It takes 2 Autobots to take down Soundwave.
Yes, I've gotten so many upset comments being like, "Oh, Blaster cheated. Oh, Soundwave should have won," and it's like, I just wanted to do what felt right.
Well, neither one of them would go into this fight alone. They would both be ejecting.
I was going to say, when they had their big fight. Yeah, when they had their big fight in Autobot, wasn't Blaster like losing until he like cheated and grabbed a bunch of speakers to help him out?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was so that episode obviously inspired a lot of it, because like even the building they're in is sort of based off the nightclub and stuff. But originally, I did a jazz animation back in July last year, I think, and it was literally just him dancing. It's one of the first Blender stuff I did before I really knew much. So I just wanted to see, can I make him transform? Can I do a basic dance? And then from there, this animation was originally going to be a direct continuation. They were going to come out of the ship they'd been dancing in, and they were going to be fighting in the desert and stuff. And Blaster and Jazz were already in that first one, which is why they would all be together. So that sort of kickstarted the idea for this sort of stuff. And then I dropped it for a while and focused on other projects, because animation takes a while, and YouTube doesn't reward intermittent uploads as much as you'd like it to.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I did some other stuff in the, and then when it came to going back to this concept, because I had all the models still, and I wanted to get more animation practice, and it was like, okay, I want to do an animation where I don't have to make as few new models as possible. So the only thing I made fresh for this was the backgrounds and the props. All the character models are reused. Yeah, so that saved a lot of time. Because the modeling, I'll talk about it in a bit, but the modeling takes the longest part.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming with the camera, the way it's panning around the room, I'm assuming that you have 110% control of that camera.
Yep, 100%. So in the virtual space, it's all, you can think of it as it's trying to replicate reality as much. So the camera is like a physical object I can grab and move around. You can do some things to make it move like a first-person shooter, if that makes more sense. But for me, you can have it so that you can have almost two tabs, and one shows you what the camera sees, and the other is just a 3D view, so you can see everything at once.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I can animate the camera as well as the characters, which is why sometimes it'll spin around, and other times it'll just snap, because you can have multiple cameras and swap between them. It's like trying to replicate reality as much as possible, because that makes sense, right, when you go to use it. Yeah, but obviously it's tricky getting the hang of it at first.
Now, a series of questions. I know watching it. Yeah, a series of questions I have for you, and for anyone watching right now or watching it later, subscribe to Nectar's channel. Check out all of his videos. But aside from using the G1 storyline, and what I found interesting was the soundtracks that you used, and what was between the Annie Lennox, actually / Annie Lennox Eurythmics, LL Cool J, and there was one other song that escapes my mind at the moment.
Oh, Let's Groove by Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yes. For everyone listening, tell them how old you are.
I don't want to give any specific numbers, but I will say that the library classes me as a young adult, and I'm on the younger end of that spectrum.
Yeah, so I found that interesting. I'm like, well, you're using music from our generation, and you're focusing on G1. What got you into, or actually, what got you into G1, or what iteration of Transformers did you start off with?
Ooh, good question. Okay. So my first ever introduction to Transformers was the '86 movie. I think a friend of a friend or whatever had shown parents or whatever, and they stuck it on one time. And I don't know why, but it just clicked. Yeah, it was like, okay, not only is the animation amazing, I didn't know who half the characters was. I was not upset about Optimus's death that first watch. It's only on rewatch that I was like, oh no, wait, hang on. But no, so I immediately clicked with that. I mean, Hot Rod's my favorite Transformer. I've got, you can play the game of guess how many Hot Rods I've got in the background. But no, so G1, because I watched the film, and I still think that's probably the best part of Generation 1 in a lot of ways, for like the animation and the writing and stuff. I love the cartoon as well. So I found the film, and then there was some old DVD stores. When you used to get DVDs, it's not all streaming. Yeah. But no, they had like season 3 and 4, which obviously carried on from the film. So I didn't actually see the first seasons with Optimus and Bumblebee and everyone for like years. It wasn't until I sort of got more into it that I was like, oh, hang on, there was this whole extra bit. But So it was like, okay, Transformers is cool. We got all this older stuff, but what's going on at the moment? And at the time, it was Transformers Prime, which I think is one of the best Transformers. I know a lot of people do. It's up there with Beast Wars and stuff. But yeah, so it was Transformers Prime and things like that sort of kept me going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just love the animation stuff and getting Peter Cullen and all the old voice actors. Because obviously, like, younger child brain as well, Optimus sounded like Optimus. Stuff like that just sort of kept me hooked. And then, yeah, I think, it was Combiner Wars that came out not long after that. And that was revisiting G1 characters for, like, and putting them on the main line for the first time in ages. You know, we had a Combiner Wars Optimus and Megatron and stuff. So I just sort of followed with it. Yeah, and I don't know, I've just enjoyed it a lot since. There's the more recent shows, like they sometimes lose my interest. I wasn't as big on Cyberverse and things, but Earthspark, Earthspark's my favorite show at the moment. Probably get into it a bit more later, but I just think it's one of the best written ones. And same with the animation. I'm sure I'll get backlash for that, but
everybody always goes nuts about that fight with the Jets towards the end of the first set of episodes.
Oh yes! Oh my god! I remember watching that at the time, and I was like, "This is one of the best fight sequences they've done." Transformers in general, like I don't know. They do. What's it? They try and simulate like a handheld camera in some of the shots. Like they put you on the ground level while they're all fighting in the sky. And it's just, it's really immersive, and that's hard to do in animation. So I was impressed with that. Even just little things like they blend 2D blasts with 3D models. That's not easy to do. I've tried.
I'm gonna make one comment. Megatron is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so is Magneto. You can't put them on the opposite sides.
Oh, so
That's
agree
the only problem
with,
I've got with it.
Yeah, so I agree to a point, but again, IDW Comics was a thing when I was younger, and that's when they did the Autobot Megatron arc. So I was already kind of adjusted to like, okay, this could be a thing. And especially in more modern reboots, post-Aligned continuity, they try and push the whole Megatron and Optimus used to be friends, and then something happened. And so it kind of, I don't know, it makes sense to have Megatron be an Autobot before he's done anything truly horrible, because in Earthspark, it's sort of like, okay, they fight, they get to Earth, and then he's like, maybe we shouldn't? He never does, because in IDW it felt a bit like, okay, you've killed a lot of people, this maybe feels a bit too late to start feeling bad about it.
There's a fan fiction out there that you need to look up. There's a fan fiction out there you need to look up to where Megatron was actually Optimus Prime's weapon, and Prime was the first target master.
I love that.
It's how in the cartoon, whenever Megatron got knocked unconscious, Optimus was able to just go
and
turned him back into the gun so he could shoot that thing into the space.
I just want to say I'm a big fan of IDW Comics as well, so I did like how they handled Megatron's conversion, because they kept it as like an open question about whether or not this was a thing that he could, if he was redeemable after all of that.
Well, he doesn't think he is, and that's what I find interesting. Like, even when he does everything right afterwards, he never allows himself to feel happy about it, which I find is honestly probably the best way you can do it. Especially when you've got the first IDW, like, it ran on for what, 13 years? Was it 13 or 14? Something like that, yeah. Like, it does feel like almost a bit of a rough cut, and he's aware of it, and I think that's the best way you can handle it. Again, Earthspark gets away with it because a lot of it sort of happens off screen. But when you're doing... Oh, there you go. Hey. I'm still looking for
as soon as you said you like
those two.
Earthspark, I had to pull. I got Trash too, but I can't figure out where I got them at the moment.
I'm still looking for those two. New Zealand's distribution is abysmal.
That
If you
would
thought
do
it was bad in the US, like, be grateful that we even got wave one of anything.
Yeah, I imagine you probably deal with similar distribution as Dr. Lockdown on Australia, probably.
Oh, 100%.
Because you're just to the east of them.
Yeah, we got stuff like we had the Velocitron Crasher. Like, hey, which one's that? Twitch. Yes, I've got that one. Yeah. Yeah. So we got that wave with Bumblebee, Megatron, Twitch. and I think we've only just gotten the one with Optimus and the Shockwave repack. But yeah, no, you're right. It's a lot like Dr. Lockdown, because we got stuff like the Velocitron Crasher, like, as soon as it came out, like, before the US. We were, like, the first country to get it, I think. Yeah, I know. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm snagging one of those, because I know they're rare. But, like, good luck on finding anything else. At the moment, it's still Legacy Wave 2 with Knockout and People, and loads of Rise of the Beast mainline they just cannot clear.
Jeez.
It's like that in the US too. We got a bunch of Rise of the Beast we can't get rid of.
It's like, if you want anything new, go on Amazon Australia, because, yeah.
Yeah. At least you had no trouble getting the Titans, as I can see, so...
Again, Amazon shipping them over. I think New Zealand did get Metroplex, but they still have Metroplex. Yeah. I don't think I've seen the Nemesis anywhere.
So from Australia?
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. I'm a Kiwi. Oh, fun fact, the voice actor for Kickback in G1 was a Kiwi as well. Yeah, raised in Wellington. I can't remember his name, but I was scrolling through TF Wiki and I was like, oh, that's fun.
Nice.
The fastest Indian in the world was a Kiwi. It's a great movie. Look it up. Look it up.
Sorry, I'm distracted by the cat on the shoulder.
Oh yeah, she does this sometimes. She means pepperoni.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's a member.
Yeah.
There goes Jawbreaker Transform.
My cats are not allowed up here. My cats like to push things, so yeah, my cats are not allowed up here.
She likes to feel tall sometimes. She was bugging me and is like, put me on your shoulder. And I'm like, all right, there you go.
It's a cat that thinks it's a parrot.
Professor D says, clearly our guest is a young adult, but he looks like one of our cast members at age 6, which I know who he's referring to. No diss intended, but it's a good-looking member. So
I wonder who he's talking about.
I wonder who he's talking about. Dominic says,
he's the only one who's not here.
It's like, okay, Jose, new poll for the Discord. Guess Nectar's age. And Metal B says, and the shipping costs are always so bad. And I feel for you because Canada goes through the same things. Freakenstein says, I need Metroplex. And Mel B says, New Zealand, the cooler Australia. And to go with that comment, one of my favorite music groups is Crowded House, where the lead singer Neil Finn is from New Zealand, but gained a lot of popularity in Australia and especially the US in the mid 80s. But I know when they went to do their going away tour, they like the stadium in Australia was completely packed because they're almost like they've become like an Australian national treasure at this point. Shiva Kobe says, Clive Revell, New Zealand actor, and he's been in a lot of movies. And
there you go, yeah.
Kickback's voice actor.
Kota Kai with Damage Control on WWE. She's from New Zealand.
All right.
Hey, is that a Nightshade? Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
First hour Transformer since what? Prowl 2?
Yeah, I got a Prowl 2 back here, and that's the previous one basically.
I had to look him up. The New Zealander's name was Burt Munro. He set the world land speed record on a motorcycle.
Nice.
Damn.
It's a really good movie, by the way.
And it's a real good movie. It's
Anthony Hopkins.
I can't think. Anthony Hopkins plays Burt Munro in it. It's fantastic. Great movie, especially if you like racing, you like speed. Good, feel good movie. It's awesome.
I'm gonna have to put that on the list now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called The World's Fastest Indian.
So
he built the motorcycle out of an Indian motorcycle.
Okay. See, for anyone listening now, that's clarified.
Yeah.
So back to you, B. One question is, in terms of toy stores and distribution down there, what's the availability of say G1 characters?
Not great. So we've got essentially like a New Zealand equivalent of eBay, which is called Trade Me. And if you're lucky, you'll find a G1 Optimus leg, maybe a Bumblebee arm. Yeah, no, so I say that, it does depend. So, hang on, I have to take the headphones off.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Deep manage. I don't know how well you can hear me. Let's try that again. There we go. That's the benefit of doing it in this room. I could just pull them off the shelf. There we go. So I have managed to come across...
sound louder now.
These two.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
sound
nice.
louder. Hang on.
In a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So these are my dudes. Let's see. So this guy was he came from a friend whose dad had it in the 80s, and they just weren't really caring for them anymore, so I got handed it, which is awesome.
Nice.
And this guy, I got very recently actually off of Trade Me, like I was saying. So you can find good ones, and this guy was actually for a pretty reasonable price. I can't really say the prices because New Zealand exchange with the US is always really skewed. I can't remember it off by heart, but yeah.
So numbers would mean nothing.
Whoa, is that an original release?
Yeah, it's signed by Peter Cullen. I mean, the
Bloody
box is
hell.
trashed. But...
So I think so the slug, I call him Slug. I was originally from the UK, so I'm sorry, you're gonna have to put up with that. But
I've had girls friends from there, I understand.
I did a review on him on YouTube, and that was like half of the comments were just like, "Why'd you keep calling him Slug?" Oh wow. Yeah, that's an impressive collection.
Yeah,
hey, you got the other Dinobots.
The Bumblebee back there is actually signed by Dan Gilvison. The Prime is signed by Peter Cullen, and Megatron is signed by Frank Walker. And then Perceptor is signed by Paul Lighting.
That is dedication. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's why I'm the old head in the group here, because I don't do anything but the originals.
I've got not a figure, but I have what's his name? He was the inker on the Matrix Quest comics. Oh god, I need to. He did. I've got one of the prints. I need to check it to get the name right. But I do have an original print from like an auto assembly like 10 years ago. He was just drawing away at it, and you see this little kid come up and I start nerding out, or whatever, and he just decides to give it to me at the end of the talk. Like, this professional ink he'd been working on it. It was everyone else was just as shocked as I was. And at the time, I didn't really realize how big a deal this was. And then I went back now, looked him up on Wikipedia and stuff. He's worked on loads of these Marvel things or whatever. And it is
Jeff Senior?
Insane. Oh, God. Hang on. I'm going to have to just go check it now because it's going to drive me nuts.
I was going to say, Jeff Senior drew Matrix Quest, so maybe it was him. Oh, not all of them.
Here we go. I'll just bring it for you. Here we go. It's a Stephen Baskerville. There we go.
Oh, Baskerville. Yeah, no, I recognize
There
him.
you go. Yep. So when they were doing all the 86 swoop reveals, this felt fitting to put in the Discord at the time. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is an original inking, and it's just nuts. So that hangs proud of place.
It's so good, and also you can tell it's by somebody from Marvel UK because it has that really specific art style.
Yeah, where they're almost human in the faces. Oh, what's that one?
Yeah, I was going to say, since B said, I think you said Hot Rod's one of yours, if not your favorite.
Easily my favorite. Yeah.
Looking up the old best of by IDW, where it collects a few. Let's see if I can. Rise from the Transformers, Autocracy number 10, Spotlight Hot Rod, which was IDW. The UK Transformers Whitefire, which was 254. Crucible Part 2, Loose Terrari, which was Lost Light 20. The War to End All Wars, which was Regeneration 100. And then Peace from Transformers Annual 1989, or what was collected in this. So
what a weird one to end on.
Yeah, cover price was $6.99, but most of the times these are pretty good. Like I get like some of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and a Transformer one of these.
Comic books,
everything in that rotating case is G1.
It's like a
piece. Those are all the ones that I played with.
Oh wow!
And
Is that
if you can
okay?
drop,
I can see Erotimus up there.
if you can drop Shiba Kobe's comment down, Spin.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take that off? The entire bottom row is the original Dinobots.
Oh, that is wonderful. Yeah, I've gotten to hold a version of every major G1 Dinobot except Swoop, because I've had friends who, I think they had like a well-looked-after G1 Grimlock, and yeah, Slug, I've got Slug, and then another friend had, Snarl and Sludge. Snarl's a fun one, the way that whole backpack sort of works and everything. Yeah.
So Shima Kobe says an Autobot United 5-pack was within my grasp, but I didn't even know it. I hope I can get my paws on it. I want it so bad. I asked my pastor to pray for me today. Pastor likes Transformers, grew up with
when you've tried everything else.
And I'm not surprised that GameStop in Victoria sold out of the Autobot 5-pack right quick. I'm kicking myself for not calling it a pre-order. And Lucas says, wow, that's a lot of signed stuff. Very impressive. I mean, a lot of Transformers fans have a lot of impressive stuff. And I mean, a lot of us go, above and beyond to get the signed autographs, and it's not a.
They're going to end up here.
Yep.
Mine's sealed. Mine's sealed. You ain't getting it.
We have a thing. There's all three Unicrons are on that shelf right there. Everything. There's the HasLab. There's Studio Cell and the Armada one.
Yeah. Oh god,
so
which one's where's the Armada? I can see some of them in the corner, and they're all Oh gosh, you're getting them out.
I've got another display set up over here, but
there he is.
So I had to move these. So this is Armada.
Yeah, there he is. That's the original Armada. He's got the right deco.
And then this is Studio Cell.
Oh, I love the hands on that one. You give a Transformer articulator fingers, and it makes the posing so much better.
So the three of them being in this one room creates a gravity vortex, and Transformers just start drawing into here.
What's the thing? Is it Energon or Cybertron? And they have to. There's like they've defeated Unicron, and like it actually causes an imbalance in good and evil, and opens a black hole. Like
the Unicron singularity. That's what it is. It's the Unicron singularity.
Yeah. So
Cybertron / Galaxy Force, you mean?
Yeah.
So if at any point like you notice a couple figures are missing, they've been sucked over to Mr. Magnus's collection.
Contact me, I'll find them out on the porch.
Fly all the way over.
Yeah, they'll be like babies delivered by
storks.
What is? I couldn't think of the bird.
That's a
swan, not a cricket.
Laserbeak, you got another job now?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that if all of a sudden I see kangaroos coming up with Transformers, I know they're from your collection.
Oh no, that's a little further up. We've got all the birds. We got all the birds and bugs. We got kiwis and wetters, piwakawakas, pikekkas. Yeah. It really surprises me. It really surprises me because all of these birds, right, have got really cool, like the feather patterns and the way they look and everything. It surprises me there isn't more Transformers of them because they just like the Piwakawaka has got like the huge sort of like fantail and everything. That could be Blades in robot mode. You got the Wetter, which is like a literally giant insect. It's as big as a rabbit in some cases. It's like one of those creatures that hasn't evolved for millions of years.
Yeah.
They're not all that big. You get some that are like, spider size, and that's what you usually find in the house. But sometimes you let them in the right area, you get this huge. There's some pictures of them like being hand-fed carrots because they're really chill as well. It's ridiculous.
Feed a giant insect a carrot.
It's like if that's not an Insecticon, I don't know what is. Like,
oh god, that's true.
You're feeding an
you like insect
carrot?
You like insect.
Okay, wait. We were talking about coming down to New Zealand or to Australia for our honeymoon. Bullshit.
Go New Zealand if you don't want to deal with the angry spiders. Like
you're the guy who wants to walk a spider on a leash that's the size of a basketball, and you're worried about feeding a bug a carrot? Come on, Bill.
Okay, so
Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, you might have those down there too.
So
What's that?
The spider. I've been trying to get my exotic pet license so that I can get this giant spider called the giant bird eater.
That's an Australia thing. Thankfully, we don't get them here.
Oh god, yeah.
This is a spider the size of a cat.
Why? Why would anyone want that?
I could not. I'm
want it for
kind
the
of
shock
arachnophobic. I would be like,
I want it for the shock value. I want to put a cat collar on it and walk it down the road just to watch people freak out.
what a weird
You'd be like
because
Wednesday from the Netflix series when she walks with her scorpion down the street as a kid.
See, that's how you make sure nobody ever bugs your collection. Because I'm like,
Bugs.
I would want to go there, see that, but I'm like, if you have one of those in your house, I can't be in that house. Like, so,
I don't have one. I don't have one, but I do plant azaleas outside my house to draw in riding spiders, the great big black and yellow spiders that spin like a 5-foot web.
Well, I mean, spiders do
Are those
eat
the ones
other
that kind of have that
other insects.
really crazy stitch in the
we have
part of their web towards the center?
I have to just accept that my workshop in the garage, like the spiders live there more than me. They get to stay as long as they're in the corners. Like I don't mind. Just tarantulas, leave me alone.
Now, do you all have photo webs there, or is that strictly an Australia thing?
Photo webs? I don't think so. I'd have to look it up.
It's the
I've
world's
not
most
came
deadly
across that.
spider, but it's they're bad news. They're the ones that kill you in like 15, 20 seconds.
Oh no, we don't get those. No, the ones we do get is we get whitetails, which thankfully aren't quite as deadly, but they're from Australia, and they can, if they bite you, they can make you feel not well. And they don't even they're big spiders, but they're not ridiculous. So you just sort of you can miss them half the time, and then it's like, oh, hello, you're dangerous.
Now, is this ridiculous by your part of the world standards? Or the rest of the world standards? I'm sure there's a difference.
I'm not
the two guys
sure.
to your left and right live in Canada, so that's probably really big, even bigger for them.
I see the look on Toyworth's face. He's like, I don't know about that trip for next year. I'm rethinking
it. Listen, man, I'm in the Australia of the United States in Florida.
Right. You're in the Jurassic Park of the United States.
Yeah. And I don't deal with spiders. Nope.
So Metal B says spiders are cute, and also says we've only got one venomous spider. It's Chill. So I think one is more than enough. And Professor Dean says, Bill, get that license because you already got enough land to start an exotic private zoo. What exotic animal do each one of you hope to adopt and Bill at Bill's Bizarre Barn? Hobbs says, I gotta head out, but enjoy the rest of the stream, everyone. And thank you for
catch you later.
Yep. For everyone watching, and watching later on, like the video, subscribe to our channel, also subscribe to Nectar's channel. And also the other thing why I wanted to invite you as a guest, because most of us are more, the older G1 guys, and there's a few in betweens of like the Beast Wars guys, and I know you're younger. Just before we started, I know you had your opinion of the Michael Bay movies, and what was your opinion on it?
Not a very positive one, I must admit. No, design-wise, I think they're impressive. And again, technologically, like that was ambitious, even like for 2007 as well. Like, story-wise, there's too many how do I put it, isms for me to really enjoy it. Very problematic. The more recent ones, Bumblebee, Rise of the Beast and stuff, I like those. I think Bumblebee's still probably my favorite live-action one, purely because of the Cybertron scene. Which I'm sure most of us agree with. But Rise of the Beasts was fine. No, it didn't really do anything that I felt was too new to make it super interesting, but it didn't do anything wrong, so that was nice. And like I say, design-wise, like as soon as they just toned it down a bit with the greebles and detailing, it was like, okay, I can actually make sense of it now.
Well, I would say within fans that within your age range that you've connected with, what are other fans saying in terms of the movies and
complete
Rise of the
opposite.
Beast? Seriously,
complete opposite. Yeah, so I've got a couple of friends. It's just old enough now for them to start getting the nostalgia view of it as well, right?
Okay.
And so because of that, I see a bunch of people going on eBay finding these Studio Series figures, trying to collect them all and stuff like that. And yeah, it's not my thing, but it is kind of interesting to see that it's gone from that really big backlash when it first came out to sort of like finally a proper acceptance. It feels like the Star Wars films, like the prequel ones, right? It comes out, everyone hates it, then the new stuff comes out, and they're like, okay, we like you now.
It's always what happens when the kids grow up that were watching these things when they were new, basically.
Why do you think we're seeing more Armada stuff in the main line now, right? Because all of those people are now in the design team. Same with Beast Wars, which I'm very happy about. I've got a little collection down that way. I don't know what you can see. There we go, that way. There's the Beast Wars group.
You managed to get a Dragon Megatron instead of a giant mushroom.
Yes, I did. Oh gosh, he's really good. Like I was sort of like, he's got a weird sort of ball joint dragon head arm, and I was like, is that gonna be not fun to mess with? No, it's great. He's like little hand puppet.
Yeah.
But one thing that confuses me, and I don't know if
Anthony.
Yeah. Bill sent me a vintage one too. The new one's generally an improvement, but the old one, you can actually puppeteer the mouth, so I could have it host the show instead of me.
Oh, that is wonderful.
I cannot see it.
Welcome to the Children of Primus. Let's talk about Beast Wars.
Oh, that is wonderful.
That's something the old one has over the new one. New one's generally an improvement, but
I think the only vintage Beast Wars ones I've got are the reissues they did recently, because that was the only way I was going to get a hand on them in a decent condition over here. So I've got Cybershark and Retrax.
Cybershark.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, easily one of my favorite figures. I do find the mold degradation means the ball joints are not what they used to be.
Oh yeah, I was doing photos of him today, and he was having trouble standing in a lot of poses. I need to take some floor polish to these ankles.
Yeah, I had to do that on Retrax as well, because he's got that spring-loaded thing, and it just wants to go. It just does not want to hold still at all.
It's nuts that they reissued Retrax of all people, because like I remember, because I was a Beast Wars kid, he was like a shelf warmer. Nobody wanted that guy, and then he's one of the ones they decided to reissue. Nowadays it's funny because
is he like the Beast Wars equivalent of Scoop?
You know
like
what?
throwing 30 Scoop.
I know what you mean, and yeah, same thing. He was like a last wave guy. Nobody wanted him. They thought his gimmick was weird, and it neutered his articulation. He stuck around. Those pill bugs were everywhere.
I had to get him just because of how ridiculous the design is. Like, yeah, I'm a pill bug with angry eyes on. Like, I'm threatening now, right? In a world full of like dragons and giant spiders as well.
Yeah, and if you get too close to him, he'll give you a bear hug in his robot mode. A spring-loaded bear hug.
I think his Beast Wars 2 counterpart is named like Power Hug or something hug.
Power Pinch, something like that, yeah.
Well, Shiva Kobe says, I want a carbon copy of Messi, the Russian former petting zoo puma. And
talking about Ravage? Russian Ravage?
Russian Ravage. And
got a Shadow Panther.
The last time I was in Toys R Us in Nanaimo, which was like a week and a half ago, they had a reissue Wolfgang, Rex Trax, and K9. And someone used a Rex Trax in a photo comic series, and his gimmick was hugs.
Yeah, it would be Waywards Insecticomics. I remember that.
Well,
that's a deep cut. That's from like the early 2000s.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that one character where it's just like it was basically a shelf warmer, and then they just became popular again. And essentially that was the same as Cosmos and Sea Spray. Whereas I remember as a kid, there was just tons of Cosmos and Sea Sprays on the shelf because nobody wanted to buy them. And then look like, a couple of years ago, Cosmos ends up being this character that like people are fighting over.
Oh my god, yeah, they're reissuing him, aren't they? Like next year's first wave is basically like a combating all the scalpers. We got like Tarn, Cosmos, all these ones you just couldn't get, and it's like, nope, you don't have to pay the scalpers anymore. Don't feed the scalpers.
Yeah, we did a whole episode of the show about that, about how this is just like them trying to counteract all the bad distribution and just running all these things again.
Actually, is there any, I guess, toy or comic conventions in New Zealand, and do you guys have any scalper issues down there?
The closest you'll get is stuff like Wellington Armageddon, which isn't really a Transformers thing, it's more of a comic books thing, but you get Transformers fans there. Sometimes there's toy fairs and stuff, which is kind of closer, but like, honestly, it's all up in Australia. New Zealand doesn't really get a lot of it. And then scalper-wise, I wouldn't say so much Transformers, but definitely Lego. Lego is like really popular over here. I think there was like some sort of Fast and Furious set, like one of the Nissan Skyline one, that one, yeah. And you see people coming out the stores. They got like 6 of them all stacked up, and it's like, okay, they're going on eBay later today. Yeah, but Transformers wise, not so much because the distribution's so bad anyway. You just get them online.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Now, out of your collection, a question that we like to ask, or I guess sometimes, if say, you had to run into your house to save one figure, which one would that be?
There's a fire in there somewhere. That's the active part of that.
I'm not sure. It would probably be... I'd have to say something like Kingdom Rodimus, honestly.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, as like a big... I don't know, all the G1 figure I've got. Because, like, obviously it has to be favorite character and then one of the best toys of that character, right? And, like, Kingdom Rodimus and the G1 version, like... I know he's Hot Rod, but still, close enough. Like, Kingdom Rodimus, like, they used that commander budget well, in my opinion. Also, I got him on a sale, so who am I to judge? But then... There's something so iconic about the vintage toy as well, with the design and everything. So it has to be one of those two.
Yeah.
Ooh, which one's that?
This is like a reissue of the G1 guy from like the early 2000s.
I think that might be the same one I've got, because mine, I had to do a bunch of sleuthing, and from what I can tell, it's the 2002 Rodimus Major one. And this is doing really nerdy stuff. Like, okay, he's got the no-pin shoulders. He's got, like, the plastic rims. Like, all of these sort of, like, random nerdy telltales.
Yeah. If his hands are smaller than 5 millimeters, then it's one of the older ones, because the newer versions are, like, 5 millimeter compatible, so they can fit, like, modern Target Masters and things. Yeah. But if it's smaller, it's definitely... commemorative one, or like a Takara one, but it's probably the American one.
I was gonna say it's probably the American. It's sort of a mixed bag here because we're just a little bit closer to Japan that sometimes they show up, but it's most of the time it's the US release. There's a lot of fans that moved from there and then are selling their collections off here because they are a bit more rare to find, and you get some of that. Again, it depends on the seasons and the timings of the moons if you'll find anything you like, but you hit that refresh every so often.
Yeah. One thing I noticed from way earlier, as a Beast Wars fan, somebody who's familiar with the production of the show, you were talking about your animations and how you were trying to make use of the same character models and how that you'd already done, because making new ones was the most time-consuming part.
Oh, that's why the backgrounds are so rough in the original show, because they had to make the entire cast twice. Yes, and
sorry,
also, I don't mean to cut you off, but I went on a nerdy deep dive with that as well, because like obviously. I sort of joke I could do what used to take a team of people in the 90s now. Because the text just evolved that quick. It's ridiculous.
But it was always interesting because one of the production things of Beast Wars was no new models. Unless there's a new toy coming out, we can't do any new models because that's the most time-consuming part of this. Ravage was a kit bash. They took Transmetal Cheetor's body and put Tigatron's head on him. Nowadays it's a new toy, but back then it was literally just like a kit bash. So
I remember, did they do a toy at the time? Because I remember Transmetal's Tigatron was that. They just like didn't transform him properly or something.
They didn't in the original line because they made them up for the show. But then, because it aired in Japan like 2 years later, they had enough lead time to add a Ravage figure to the line, and it's super rare now because it only came out in Japan.
Transmetal 2 Cheetor redeco.
Yeah, something like that. So the Kingdom one's like in demand because it's the first time he's got like a figure of this design since like the turn of the millennium, basically. But yeah, it's interesting how CGI hasn't changed since the 90s. You're still like, models are the hardest part. I gotta use what I have.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So I don't know if you guys have seen my most latest. I think it's my latest video. Yeah. It's sort of it's not an animation. It's like a part one. Like, let me talk about what it is. But like, really brief recap. I'm doing another animation that's going to be my biggest one yet, and the reason for that is because it's going to have an insane amount of models. So it's the 40th anniversary, right? And so I want to do an animation that celebrates that. So the idea is that it's basically going to be one fight scene, but with every major punch or impact or gunshot, it swaps to the next chronological leaders. That doesn't mean Autobots, Decepticons. It could be Optimus, Rodimus, Optimus Primal. Heatwave's going to be at some point. Like, I want to celebrate as much as I can. I've got some Creo models in there. Like, it's great. But the idea is, yeah, there you go. That's showing some of it. So you'll probably want to skip until later, because I think I start flicking through all the renders, like, way at the end. But the basic idea is, yeah, it's going to be a little further than that. Sorry, I can't remember the exact time. Yeah, but there you go. There's the Creo one. There's the Creo one. Yeah. So all of these are being modeled in Blender, as you can see. And so that's why it's taking me so long. Because the animation itself will probably not take me insane. I mean, animation takes a long time anyway, because you got to get it right. But I can only reuse so much. So when I first started off, I made a G1 Optimus Prime. And I was like, okay, how much could I stretch this model? So I did the Machinima model. I did just a straight redeco into Shattered Glass. I think I did Dreamwave as well. And a load of like G1 adjacent, basically. And then everything after that has been made mostly from scratch. There's been a couple times where I could redeco, but otherwise, I mean, you got Fortress here, and he's not only just him, but it's the mini model that turns it to the head. And so all of these are modeled by me, rigged by me, and textured as well. And some of it I can reuse. So like with Laser Prime here, his head is actually pretty close to a lot of designs. So like Lio Convoy, Big Convoy, Fire Convoy, all of them have that sort of generic-y Optimus-y head. So I can sort of copy-paste that, tweak the proportions, and match it to the new, because they always got different ears and like horns. I don't know what you call them. But other than that, I basically got 75 models to make from scratch.
God.
And that is excluding the backgrounds and props. Yeah. But it is fun because I get to add the community to this, because when I'm very I post a lot on the Hobbies with Jose Discord. And when I talked about doing this, they were like, okay, I know a little bit of Blender. Maybe I could help you out with a couple of them. And I was like, it's actually going to be harder, because I'm going to be teaching you some of Blender while also doing some of Blender, while also working my job. Like, that's going to be just a bit too much. But what I've done instead is there's a lot more 2D animators there. Not animators, artists. So they're going to make me... I've got some fan art being submitted that I can put in little picture frames and stuff that I can put in the background. So every time it reaches about like 10 years or so chronologically with the leaders, the background starts to change to match up with the figures that are out. So the pictures will change. And so I'm going to get to have some people's fan art submitted and put in there. So that's going to be good fun.
As an animator, doing your thing on YouTube, what are some of the animators that are currently out there that you look up to?
Oh gosh, what is the name? I can't remember his name. He did was it Render 77, something like that? So
the guy, the RC video and stuff.
Yes, him. So him and Lizard Saw, back like a couple years ago now, I think they did the Starscream one, and this is when I've been using Blender for 4 years, but I started off with like 3D printing stuff. And so I was like, okay, animating could be a fun sort of little side hobby. And when I saw that video, I was like, okay, clearly Blender Transformers are possible. So I started watching his stuff, and it is awesome because Lizardsaw, who did most of the models for it, I think Render 77 just does the animating more so than the model making. But the model maker for that is in the Discord I'm a part of, and he's actually going to be putting fan art in my animation. So that is really fun full circle. So I've watched his stuff, and now his stuff is in mine. Like that's going to be really fun.
87
render, render 87.
There you go. Yeah, 87, not 77. My bad. So that, and then obviously Spider-Verse. Honestly, not a YouTube thing, but Spider-Verse. There you go. This shows all the renders. There we go. That film just showed what animation should be used for, in my opinion, which is it can do things to a story live action can't. And they do something that's called NPR shading, which is it stands for non-photorealistic, and it basically means it's a 3D render that's not trying to look realistic. It's embracing the fact that it's a cartoon, it's an animation, it's whatever. And again, that's embracing the medium. It's not trying to... You could take a camera and go outside. That looks more real than a render ever will. I say that, technology is advancing, but... but Spider-Verse, like I say, it does so many animation things, like the stepped animation, changing frame rates. I copy that in my Blaster Soundwave video, because there's add-ons and things you can do to sort of... I think the easiest way I could describe it is it makes it look like stop motion or look like 2D, where it's sort of they draw each frame, so it's just got a little bit of stutter. And those sort of films, like I think was it Puss in Boots? There's a load of new ones at the moment, like the Ninja Turtles as well, where they're doing that sort of overly animated style, and I just think it looks really nice.
Did you see Arcane, the first season of it?
I've seen clips of it. I've not watched it, but I know why you're saying that, because the clips I've seen, that art style looks nice.
Yeah, I think the second season, I want to say, is coming... I want to say it's coming out this fall, because it's... If I remember right. But yeah, it's Netflix exclusive, so I mean, it's... But I'm sure you can find it online with, the wonderful joys of the internet.
YouTube is a great place. It's where I've learned how to do all of this.
YouTube University.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It is insane to me how in the past, honestly, 10 years, it's sort of gone from like cat videos to full-blown tutorials by university lecturers and things.
So you're saying if anybody else wanted to learn how to do this, YouTube's the place to go?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously do YouTube myself, and I try my best to do not necessarily how-tos, but what I've done. Because I don't want to be responsible if I get a name wrong or something. Like, if tutorials are a lot more, you have a lot more responsibility with that. But if it's just, this was the dumb way, but it worked for me, like, that's okay. But what I typically tend to do is if a video I found is particularly useful, like Joey Carlino did a lot of like getting the comic book shaders and stuff, I'll try and link them in the videos, or at least give them shout outs and things, because I want to be a springboard for people to go find the videos that explain it better. If that makes sense.
You're not doing too bad of a job yourself so far.
Thank you. I've been doing this for 3 years now? Yeah. Those early videos were rough.
Omega B says, I love how Spider-Verse embraces animation as its own medium instead of just trying for photorealism. And earlier, Professor D says in NECMEC, we need you to do a sea spray animation so Spin can do his spot on impression.
Do it.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
Do it. Do it now.
I've not actually heard it. I've not actually heard it.
Yeah, there's a few of us that can do voices good enough. We could probably do voice acting for you if you need it.
I would love that. That is the one. It's the one thing I've been struggling actually is getting the characters to talk, because it's either perfect or it's wrong. Humans are so good at figuring out like what the mouth shape should be, even if you don't like technically know it, you instinctually know it. So it's an awful lot of work. So on these guys like Hot Rod, and I think Blaster does it in my animation, you sort of see how it's like a stop motion look where they're almost pictures being swapped out, because that's exactly what they are. So there's lots of distinct face shapes when you're talking, you know, the ahs, the oohs, that sort of thing. And so if you do a picture for each of those face shapes, and then you can put the audio into Blender and sort of sync it, you can basically swap it out and animate it that way, which saves a lot of time, because the other way, the way Beast Wars did it, was with, I think Beast Wars did it that way. It might be different because of 90s tech, but basically shape keys, which is basically where you'll have like an object. So in this case, like his face, yeah? And you can basically save it. So that's the main way the face should look, like the default. But you can essentially tweak it, stretch it, move it, whatever, and save those as keys, as like different shapes. And then you can sort of blend those together with sliders and stuff. And so with an awful lot of fiddling in the editing booth, you can sort of get the exact percentages of ah and ooh that you need to say the right word. It's very tedious, and it's why I've not done a lot of it, but it's something I need to get more practice in to get better at it. It's just time consuming.
Otherwise, characters with mouth plates are your friend.
Ooh, I'm glad I've got a lot of Optimuses to animate with this time.
Convoys.
And convoys, yeah.
Spitting in the wind here, but someday I'd love to see my original character rendered in 3D, but it's a seeker with quadruped feline robot mode. So
hey, you send me pictures on the Discord and stuff, and I've got some free time, I'll give it a go. It's a long way away, like I say, 75 models. But eventually I'll get there.
Well, where can people find you on Discord?
On Discord, it's just Nectar Mechanics. So it's Nectar Mechanics on all socials, and I think with Discord, you just put in my name on like the add new person, and then it will set up a DM. I don't have a server of my own at the moment. I'm sort of waiting till I get more subscribers to make that worth my time. But I'm very prominent in the Hobbies with Jose Discord. They're a lovely place. It's really well moderated. And they're all a bunch of customizers and artists of their own. So if you're creative and you like Transformers, they're like the perfect spot. I'm also on TFW, obviously. I'm sure a lot of us are. And so I've got a little, in the creative GD section, I've got a little board of my own where I'm posting some of the final renders in there.
Nice. Yeah, we also have our own Discord as discord.childrenofprimus.com, which is also our website, our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And
okay, I'm going to have to check those out now because I didn't realize you had those.
How do you spell the Discord that you're a part of there, just so everybody can get there?
Oh, so it's Hobbies with Jose. So that's HOBBIES WITHJOSE.
Yeah, so
and he's got
sometimes the other.
Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel of his own. He does stuff like that. And like I say, it's a bunch of artists, and it's a lovely spot. Everyone's really supportive and kind with it. There's some Discords where you post in the work and people are a bit overly critical without actually having the knowledge of how to do it, and it's a bit. But Jose's one's not. It's really nice.
It's always great.
Oh gosh, you can see the inverse kinematics on the animated prime. Oh yeah, so I think they did this on Beast Wars as well. Well, they do it on most animations. You can set up the bones like a chain, so I only have to grab the end of it and it moves the rest. So that bit where he's sort of dancing along, I'm only grabbing one bone and it's moving the rest of them. It saves so much time in animating.
Thinking back to like earlier, all the tools that you're saying that that you're using and how simplified that's become. Thinking back to like early Randall Nigg and Dr. Smooth videos.
Oh gosh, yes, Dr. Smooth. That's another one. Sorry, I forgot about him.
Like how much more work they probably had to put in without having the stuff that's simplified nowadays is kind of mind blowing.
So even with Blender, what I'm using. When was Dr. Smooth? That was like 10 years ago? More?
More.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, more.
So I don't think he was using Blender at the time, But with Blender, they basically overhauled the entire interface in 2018 to be a lot more user friendly. I actually tried to use an older version recently. All the buttons are there. None of them are in the right spot or where it makes sense.
Oh boy.
And I can only imagine how something simple as a running animation would take them double the time. I mean, obviously they were professionals with their software at that point, and you get used to the, I want to say quirks, but it's more annoyances. But yeah, no, I look at, because they did animations for Stan Bush, didn't they? They did like some of the music videos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know some things.
Welcome, Rev Rats. Howdy, to Children of Primus, Torwart panel, and everyone in the chat. And Shiva Kobe says Nectar needs to get into the Children of Primus Discord so we can find it properly.
First thing I'm doing after the stream, I'll make sure I'm in there.
and the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
And the Facebook, yeah.
I like how you have these photo references just like hanging along the backdrop of this thing that you move around freely in 3D when you're like building.
Oh,
these.
Yes. Yeah, I sort of think of it as like the first Iron Man movie when he sort of like puts all the images around in the 3D space, like, because you can import PNGs as what they call a plane, and that just means that it's taking a picture and pretending it's a 3D, like a 3D piece of paper almost. Some models, you'll get perfect reference material. It is front on, it is symmetrical, it is perfect, and I can almost trace it. Other models like Star Saber here, no matter what I looked for, all of the character model sheets were on like a 3/4, or they didn't have it in full shot. So I ended up using more of the toys than I did the anime for him. But they're sort of there to keep me in check with all the details and stuff, because otherwise my imagination runs wild.
I thought that's what it looked like you were doing. It kind of looked like you were just kind of tracing the part off of the picture behind it and then putting that part onto the 3D model and elongating it to make it look 3D.
Yeah, so that's how a lot of them start. Sometimes I'll do like what we call a block model, and that's basically literally just cubes trying to trace it to get the proportions right. Because if the proportions are right, then yeah, so you can see like his crutch there, it's just a cube, and then it gets the details and the curves. Or same with the legs, they're cylinders. And so I say it's tracing, but that's a lie because that makes it sound easier than it is.
That's not how I try to make it sound, but
yeah, because like I say, like you can only get so far, but because they're on a 3/4 or because they're drawn for what looks like right in 2D, doesn't always translate to 3D. So it's more so making sure the details are right, if that makes sense. Like make sure the distance, a lot of it's eyeballed because these models are for animation rather than 3D printing. I don't have to obey the laws of physics. So I don't have to like make sure any of it engineeringly works right. It just needs to look right. So there you go. Like comment, there you go. Yeah, like if he looks good in the render, then he's good for the animation. There we go. We've looped back to it. So I've got a couple more since this video's gone out. I've done Fire Convoy, Beast Machines, Optimus Primal, and Big Convoy. But they take time. So the next video is going to be a little while out. And I'm also trying to work on other projects at the same time because I am obviously more frequent uploads is good, and I get bored, so I gotta spice it up.
Jasmine Prime says, hello, Nectar.
Hello. I recognize that username.
And Metal B says, hooray for disobeying the laws of physics.
Physics be damned.
Physics don't make me laugh, says Luca.
Something I thought right near the start where you were discussing transformation. The models that can transform. I didn't... For some reason, I always assumed that when they would do this in like Transformers that's CGI, they would just build two different models, one for the robot and one for the alt mode, and like smoke and mirror between them. But in your case, you're saying that it's one model that can transform, or
so you're right. So what I do is a little bit extra. So I actually have both. So when I make the vehicle mode or alt mode, so like for Jazz, say, for his car mode, yeah, I actually have that saved because all of the extra robot parts add to the lag, to the render time, to all that stuff. So if you're just doing a scene where you only need the car, why bother, right? So I've just got the car mode. But in the cartoons and stuff, like Transformers Prime, for instance, there's a lot of times you can see where there's a very clear swap of a model. They sort of like they mush them inside themselves as much as they can. But honestly, it never looks as good. So in video games and stuff like Fall of Cybertron, they do that, and they get most of the way there, and then they swap right at the last second, and you can always tell because there's a slight jerk where it all sort of perfectly aligns, and it never looks right. So I tried a lot of experimenting with this. I did the swapping out models, I did the smoke and mirrors and stuff, and none of it just seemed to feel right, at least for me. So what I found is doing them almost as like action figures where they can get from point A to B to an extent. They're actually clipping inside themselves. They're all squished inside themselves. Like their head is just jammed inside their torso. But on the screen, it just looks right. And so that's what I strive for. If it feels right, that's all that matters. Nobody, well, I will, but most people are not going to be looking at each frame and going, ooh, their hand is slightly in their arm. As long as it flows right, nobody cares.
That's really interesting.
RJ Eagle, another one of our usual members in the comments, says, "Hi, gang and Nectar. These renders are amazing."
Howdy. I recognize you from some of the previous streams. I went and looked at a load of your older ones and watched the VODs.
Oh god, I've been seen.
There was a load of topics.
Sooner or later.
There's a load of topics I wish I could have been a part of, like keeping the dust off them and stuff. I've got like a huge makeup brush because it's like really soft, and I can just like slap it on them, and that doesn't make any scuffs.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Oh, I like the disco environment.
Yes. Oh, so that's using bloom for the lights, which sort of makes it go. It gives it like a glow effect. I do that for their eyes as well, so that it looks like they've got sort of LEDs in there. It's really fun. And with this, so this is an interesting thing. So when you do the modeling, you most of the times I can get away with it, but for a complex shape like Jazz's Porsche, you need to do something called retopologizing. So you can think of it as almost like you do the first pass out of like clay, right? You're just mushing it down. The shape and silhouette is basically there. But if you actually wanted to, 3D print something like that, it's lumpy, it's gross, it's not going to be perfect. So retopologizing is almost like tracing over it again, but focusing on keeping what's called your quads, right? So every 3D model is made of 3 things. Let me know if this is too nerdy. But basically you've got a vertice, an edge, and a face. So for each of those like square parts, yeah, like a flat side is a face, the corners are the vertices, and the bits that join them are edges. And so you want to keep those as square as you can. Even if you've got a sphere, like that disco ball, it's just lots of little squares because the computer can understand that a lot easier. And so when you're doing like that rough model pass, you're just trying to get it right. You're just trying to get the proportions about there. But you'll have twisted squares, or there'll be missing parts, or there's holes, or there's gaps. And so for Jazz here, getting him to transform and stuff, it was easier to basically trace over him. And then he can do stuff like that, like the animating, transforming and stuff, because it's just a lot easier to work with. Oh, there's Goldbug.
There's Hot Rod.
Yeah, I reused the Soundwave animation. As the thing, you can copy key poses as well as models. How many hours? Sorry, I know you read out the comments.
Oh, it's okay. You can read it.
Yeah.
So how many man hours for one model average start to finish? I think the first question you have to ask is, do you want it to transform? Because with the ones for the 40th anniversary project, only the headmaster dude at the moment transforms, because for each character, you end up making double the models, because it's not just the character, it's also the vehicle mode that you need to cut up into the character. So if it's, say, a fairly simple design, like, I don't know, G1 Optimus, right? He's basically just Lego bricks stacked on top of each other. That I could do in an afternoon, right? I don't know, 6 hours, maybe? Not even that, 4 hours. 4 hours for a G1 Optimus. But say someone like, I don't know, Beast Machine's Optimus Primal, or even Fire Convoy recently, he's got a lot more details. That will probably take me a couple days, because not only do you have to model it and, get all the proportions right, get all the shapes right, but if I'm animating them, they need the bones you can see there, the skeleton, so I can pose it. So I have to make the model, make the skeleton, connect the model to the skeleton, and I also need to color them in. So an average model usually takes me a couple afternoons, a couple days or so. So I would say 6 hours for a non-transforming one, and then, I don't know, 9 hours for one that does transform.
Watching the blaster's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, this is the picture changing. I had to play it over and over to get it right. I was so sick of the audio at the end of it. Every time I watch it now, it sort of brings back some sort of Winter Soldier trigger word in my brain. It's like, no.
It's your personal Vietnam.
Oh, there you go. So this is Southern Shoddy, because I'm not smart enough to make a load of this entirely on my own. So these models are all sort of a blend of, like, I don't know, 50 other people's tutorials. Yeah, trying to keep my wealth of knowledge as big as I can.
So Lucas says, gonna get me some nerdy jargon. And Professor D says, nerd out, we're here for it. And before an RJ Eagle says, I missed the beginning, but the learning curve for Blender looks extensive. It looks rather complex. And it's RJ Eagle also says, what type of PC spec-wise do you need to run Blender efficiently? CPU, memory, video card. And just before we get to that, yo, Nectar, let's go.
Hey, start.
So that's actually the question I do have for you, because now that we're jumping into the nerd side of things, I know in terms of building a PC, someone I know had an older PC, slowly got into Blender, and doing the rendering initially would take about 13 hours to do.
Yeah.
And then we were able to get new components, built an entire PC to the point where the rendering took 13 seconds instead of 13 hours. So I was gonna say, what kind of PC are you using to do your animations with?
So I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. I can't remember the specs off the top of my head. I had a lot of help building it from people who know a lot. I'm the Blender guy. They were the computer guy, so they helped me out with a lot of that stuff. But I'm using. But I'm using a Windows PC. You can do it with Mac as well. And it's a slightly more modern one. Because the main thing with Blender is Blender can run on anything, right? Modeling wise, like actually making the models, it can actually do that really easily on anything. I've used some older machines like old Macs from 2015 or so. They handle the modeling no sweat. They do not care. It's fine. But like you're saying, the renders is the part that is the most time consuming, because it's not just, ooh, I'm going to make that block blue, or I'm going to, coloring it in. It's also calculating how the light bounces off, how it's reflecting on that wall. If you've got glowing bits like I've got there in the disco, that's going to add to it. So if you're interested in doing just the modeling for, 3D printing and stuff, it'll run on basically anything. If you're looking at doing it for animation, see if you can get something that runs pretty nicely, because you will benefit from the quicker renders, because you do not want to do what I used to have. Because I started my first animation on an older machine and upgraded to do these better. And it was rough going through all of that time where it's lagging, but it looks fine on the lag. And you get the final render. It's double speed moving like the chipmunks. And your timing's off anyway, even with that double speed. So the closer you can get to the real time. So you see how I've got like two windows there? One's gray and one's colored. If you're running on a slow machine, don't bother doing it colored. Flick the colored on and off to make sure that you're not completely in shadow. But for the most part, work in the gray mode, because things like the lighting or the grease pencil and stuff, it's trying to calculate that in real time as much as it can. And if you turn it gray, it's not. And so immediately the playback is quicker. It's more closer to what the final render will be. It might be off by a couple frames, but the smoother your playback is, the better.
Cool. So RJ, Professor D says Blender is easy to start. RJ, let's get it together. Rev Rat's Ride says, is it normal to have a fresh laptop that's running Windows 95? And Professor D says, RJ, come over one weekend. We'll to do a Blender boot camp, and we'll get stuck in the middle of the night. We'll call Nectar, and he'll just be waking up. So,
yeah, probably.
Now, in terms of PCs, only because I also build PCs every now and then. In terms of Canadian prices, to effectively work with what you're doing and quickly, Canadian prices, you're looking at least over $1,000 parts wise, where you want at least 32 gigs of RAM, SSD drives, a newer motherboard, and a newer CPU. And out of all of that, that is not including the graphics card, which during the COVID lockdown times, graphic cards were almost impossible to get. So at the time I advised someone, they were focused on the graphics card, and I'm like, no, build the PC first, get the card after, because the card does handle a majority of the work. But if you got a really good PC, you can move very efficiently in Blender and any other type of animation program as well.
Yeah, 100%. And all that to say, though, like, you don't, obviously better tech will make it easier, but honestly, your skill as an artist is not limited by your tech in a lot of ways. So for me, like, I started on, I want to say, like, a way older Mac. I only upgraded recently, and like, yeah, the playbacks were rough, but you can still, even if you just do that to practice and you decide, actually, no, I like this, I will consider investing and getting an upgrade. Like, no matter what you've got, you can do tests to figure out if there's something you like, because unfortunately, Blender requires a lot more time and dedication than most people want to give it. So I think if you're interested in learning with it, don't bother trying to get the best machine, whatever, to do it. Like, just work with what you've got, and if you enjoy it, then consider investing in the upgrade, because you don't want to spend all that time just to find out you don't even like it anyway.
Now, just to jump away from Blender for a moment, back to Transformers. Have you heard anything about the Transformers 1 movie?
I know it's a thing that's happening. I know that we've got Chris Hemsworth and a few other celebrities doing the voices, and I think that's about it.
Yeah. Supposedly it's out in September.
Seen something the other day that Lawrence Fishburne's also a voice actor in it.
Oh, he is, isn't he? Yeah.
Hey, didn't he play Morpheus in the Matrix movies?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he's Alpha Trion.
Yes.
Yeah,
that will be a wicked. That's an awesome voice for that. Hell yeah.
Just going to Optimus, you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? It doesn't matter, because you're going to be red and blue regardless.
Yeah, see, the problem with that, if we were writing it, it'd be like, Optimus, there's 2 cassette tapes coming at you. One is red and one is blue.
No.
Which is Rumble and which is
Nectar, you have to make it.
Oh, that is perfect.
You have to make that video.
Oh, well, I'm planning on making some Frenzy models, so I will happily, oh god, I'm going to add that to the project list. I don't want to go on another tangent, but my current project I'm working alongside at the moment is a working Ravage cassette tape transformer. And nice. So with the idea of that, the base model can be reused to turn into Frumble? Yeah, we'll go with Frumble. I won't upset anyone. But that base cassette I can cut up differently to get the different silhouettes. Oh, Rip Fear, I'm sorry, Styrak. I'm going to upset you, but I grew up on the 86 movie and cartoon. It's feared.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the whole red one and blue one. Guy on in my alliance in Transformers Force to Fight, he spells frenzy with an M rather than an N, so it's frenzy. So I guess that's how he combines Rumble and Frenzy, I guess. He takes the M from Rumble.
Paint on purple and don't worry about it anymore.
The thing that used to bug me...
technically, Enemy's the red one, and Frenzy Rumble is more black than anything.
The thing that always used to bug me when I was younger is there is literally, I think it's 1 or 2 frames in the 86 film where they're both red. There's like a bit where they're like crashing through the blaster's tower, whatever, and they're both red for a split second. Wind it back, pause it, and I'm like, you're joking, right? It's been like this for like 40 years now. No, 38. Like we were wrong the whole time. They're both frenzy. They're both rumble.
My theory is that they changed their color schemes on the regular just to mess with people because they're jerks.
Well, I know I saw animation recently, and like every time someone tries to act Soundwave, like which one's which, someone like conveniently interrupts the conversation. And finally, he's like, "Oh, Starscream is like, oh, I know what this is. Watch. I'm gonna ask him, and then someone's gonna interrupt, and it keeps on happening. And finally, at the end, like Soundwave has like the classic troll meme face pop over his face, as well as the 2 cassette brothers, and they start changing and going back and forth between each other's color schemes. It's like, you just did Starscream say, you just did this to troll us all? And it's like,
just did this to troll us. Megatron!
Yep. Sounds like you know what I'm talking about.
So, B, you said...
go ahead.
B, you said something about a project list. Just curious, is there anything in the project list that's not Transformers?
Oh, yes. I'm currently, in my spare time when I get it, I'm working on a Iron Man suit. So it's a full body Iron Man suit that's sort of, it's a blend between the 60s comic books but with the Marvel movies. So it's like, it's got that realism added to it, but it's got like the 60s horns and the rings on the shoulders and stuff. But that is another one I'm modeling myself. And so what I've got is like a 3D scan of myself that I can build the model around so it fits. And then that's eventually going to be built out of cardstock and put on the YouTube channel in like 6 months' time or whenever it's finished.
Oh, you mean for real, not in Blender?
Oh, well, it started off in Blender and then it gets exported because most people assume I want to 3D print something if I'm bringing it from the computer. But you can actually, in Blender at least, you can export them as paper templates. So like flatten it out and do it on a normal printer. You cut those out, you trace it onto something stronger like foam or cardstock, Warbler, and then you rebuild it almost like origami. It's not because you're using glue and scissors and stuff, but it's that sort of idea. You're sort of flattening it, you're rebuilding it on the other side, and it saves so much money on 3D printing plastic.
We have several 3D printers here, so they might want to consider that approach.
That big Optimus Prime costume that I have is made out of cardstock. I won 2 cosplay competitions with that.
Oh, nice.
Man, where's Deceptikitty this week when we need him?
So Styrex says, yeah, I think I remember telling Nectar I barely got past the Blender donut tutorials without messing up. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I ever actually completed those videos properly. It's sort of an in-joke with the Blender modelers is if you're doing it, do the donut tutorial, right? It teaches you the basics of everything. I sort of got to a point where I thought I knew enough of what I needed and just dropped it. And I've got this far, so who knows?
And it also says I saw a Hasbro Pulse hint that almost seemed to hint towards a Transformers 1 reveal, so I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, something in the coming month, I think. I think I saw it in passing today, like another panel somewhere.
It's April. It'd be about time for a trailer, an official trailer.
Yeah. There was something where it's like we can give you one hint about this in the description, and the one was capitalized.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because they're doing that with a load of them, don't they? They do like the Fortress Max moments, like time to get ahead of the game or something. Like it's all puns.
And one's going to be it's a theatrical release, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first fully animated Transformer film since the 80s one. I think. No, Transformers Prime had one. Never mind.
Not in theaters, though.
No.
No, yeah, it wasn't in theaters.
Yeah, so first one in theaters since 86. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I just sent you that picture, Spin.
Okay. And Professor D says, Nick, you said you were into G1 Dinobots. When are those models coming?
Definitely at some point. I kind of want to do a Grimlock versus Shockwave animation. I think that would be fun. The question of when is very much dependent on when I'm finished with all the dozen other projects I've already started. I used to have a rule that I don't start one until I finish one, but with the 75 models that I've got, I was like, let's just chip away at those ones and do other projects in the interim.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it is. I'm trying to find it. Transformers
Eric
1 is
says,
such a bad name
yeah, I
for
grew up on a
SEO.
cartoon, so Rumble will always be blue to me.
Yep.
And Professor D also says, we got scripts, voices, and lyrics for the Dinobots when you're ready.
Lyrics.
And says, yeah, the hint was something like you guys get one hint, that's it. And that's the hint.
Yeah. When is that panel? If anybody in the comments knows, I was trying to find it on my phone, but I'm like, Transformers 1, horrible thing for SEO. Good luck finding any results on that. Professor D says, Nick just saved me 6 hours by telling me no point in finishing the 11-hour donut tutorial. Just stick to your mark.
What I try and always tell people when they're starting with Blender is learn the basics and then specialize, because the problem with Blender is it's a Swiss Army knife, right? It can do 3D printing, modeling, cosplay, like it can do bits of everything. And when you first open it up, that's intimidating. That's a lot, and most people just quit. I think I stopped learning Blender for like 2 years before I finally was like, nope, get your head down and learn it. But if you are learning Blender, it's usually with a goal in mind, right? I want to 3D print something, so I want to learn Blender for that. So do that. Learn that first, and then if you get bored with that, or you want to finally dip your toe in stuff in the other ends of it, you've already got a baseline to work off of. So I didn't do any of this animation stuff on screen when I first started. I was 3D printing like Doom guys and things like that. I was doing action figures and stuff. But those modeling basics transferred to modeling the Transformers here. Oh, wow.
Well, oh,
my God, that's your one?
That's me in it.
I'm going to get close so I can see it. There we go. Oh, that is brilliant. There we go.
Yeah, the arms are actually 12-pack Coke cases, and then the shoulders are shoe boxes.
We get along well. Cardboard cosplays is one of my favorite things.
I did have the full lower torso and everything too, but at this convention, I had put it in my truck and then I brought it in to put it on, and the convention was like in the middle of June, and so it was hotter than shit, and all of my hot glue reactivated, and so all of my legs fell apart. And so I was just walking around with just the upper torso on.
Oh, good thing you wore blue jeans, eh?
Yeah,
it was deliberate.
Yeah, that's something I get really mixed opinions on when I say I use like cardboard and hot glue, and I get some people telling me like, yeah, it'll reactivate, and some people talk about like moisture getting trapped from like your breath in the mask and it'll get mold. I've been doing that for like 4 years now, and I've not had anything, so I don't know if it's just because of where I live or yeah, for now. Knock on wood.
The Autobot symbols I actually 3D printed, and those glow in the dark.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Cool.
There we go.
And let's see.
Yeah, my whole family's cosplayers. Yeah, me, my kids, my daughter. I made a full stainless steel chainmail Chandra pyromancer for Magic the Gathering for her, and her fire gauntlet lit up, and the big tube that comes over her shoulder all lit up.
Blimey.
And then my son was 12 years old when I made his Deadpool, and it was all made out of spandex, and I'll never make another spandex suit again. That's the most horrible material to sew.
Hey,
But oh god, it's awful. It's absolutely awful, man. It unravels so hard.
There are some materials I refuse to touch. Spandex, fiberglass, like, no thank you.
But
it's actually really funny because I'm talking about all this animation stuff, but I'm actually more interested in getting in the prop industry. So cosplay and things I'm actually more familiar with in some ways.
I build all the props for one of the local theaters here where I live at.
That's so brilliant.
I'm a carpenter by trade. There's not a whole lot that I can't work with. And plus, I have a CNC. I have 2 3D printers. And so we can get just about anything we can think of made. And then my tech guy Pete, he just bought the great big 3D printer where he can make the full size helmets in one piece. Yeah, it's got like a 16 by 16 by 18 build plate.
Oh my god!
16 by 16 plate, and then it'll go 18 inches tall. It's a monster.
That is one thing because I got Creality V2 SE, and that's really good because it does all the boring work for me, like leveling and stuff. But yeah, no, helmets and stuff still need to be sliced up to fit, which it's a pain to have to like re-weld them together.
RG Eagle had a pretty good question there in the comments.
Yeah. There we go. So what RG Eagle was asking was Transformers 1 made with Blender?
No, probably Maya because that's more industry practice. But there was a Netflix film. What was his name? It was about robots and stuff. That was done in Blender. It had like the noodle robots and things. Blender's being used more so for grease pencil in the animation industry at the moment. So I think like Spider-Verse, Ninja Turtles, like all those ones that have the drawn lines and stuff on top of the 3D models. Blender's kind of the only software that can do that really well. Because they basically spent a couple years designing this whole part of the software that's designed around that. So whenever you see my models with like the black outlines, that's technically grease pencil, but I'm using it more as an edge detect. But with grease pencil, you can draw on the 3D models and you can animate those drawings as well. So if you want to add extra lines or extra details or whatever, you can literally draw them onto the model and make it look like a cartoon, which I think is amazing.
Is that what you were doing with Blaster's mouth in the part of that video that we saw?
Oh, so I could have done, but that is actually using PNGs that I did in Procreate. They're drawn, but they're in a separate software. And then basically I can import all the different phenome shapes, like mouth shapes, all those different pictures as like one folder. And then you might see in that clip, I'm sort of moving a bone up and down a lot. And basically I've linked them. So when the bone is this high, it's picture number 1. But when the big bone is this low, it's picture number 7 or whatever. And so basically I play the audio back, trying to find which picture resembles the mouth shape correctly, move the bone there, set a pose in the animation software so it remembers where to be, and I basically animate the bone, and that animates the mouth. And that gives it that cool sort of choppy stop motion look.
Cool. Catch up on the comics. Metal B says, I've got to head off now, but this has been a great time. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we will be wrapping up soon within the next 10 minutes. Professor D says, Bill, you described that Optimus Prime costume but never showed us. Awesome. One day you got to show up on the stream with full gear, legs included. And Freakinstan says, I'll buy that for $1. And Luke also said, I'm gonna have to leave for now. Might pop back in later, but hope the rest of the stream goes well. Thank you. And Freakinstan says, I'm building an 8-foot Optimus Prime and Megatron out of styrofoam this summer, hopefully in time for TFCon, which is around the corner because our TFCon Toronto is in the first or second week of July, which we will be there, doing another live stream as we try to do every year. And RG Eagle says, thanks for the great advice, Nectar, on how you started off by 3D printing, then transition into the animation aspect. I want to get into 3D printing and got to get tips from you and Deceptikitty. Deceptikitty, one of our other members, isn't here, but he's also does 3D printing, and Starak says, "Oh yeah, props is something I love doing too. I've made some pretty good Transformers weapons." And
Hey.
another question, Magnus, how much was that new 3D printer you got?
Wasn't me. I don't know. Me and Pete usually don't talk money. So I have no idea, but I imagine it was a pretty good chunk. It was his. Give you an idea. My tax return gift to myself was a $1,400 drone. His tax return gift to himself was the 3D printer. So I'm going to guess it was in that ballpark, probably $1,500.
Cool.
That's a fair enough estimate, yeah.
Man, I just think you said drone. I really need a drone.
Yeah.
That one that I got is so good. It's the DJI Mini Pro 3. If you get the Fly More kit, the only thing it's not going to come with is a hard case, and then you get the hard case on Temu for $25. It just takes 2 months for it to get here, but it's got a nice little soft side case. But it's a beast, and the Fly More kit comes with 3 batteries. You get like an hour and 15 minutes of flight time with the 3 batteries. If you're just taking pictures, you'll get that full amount. If you're taking videos, it's going to cut your flight time down probably 25-30%. So you'll get about 35-40 minutes. The videos suck a lot of life out of the battery pack. But yeah, I've had a great time with it, and the sensors on it are incredible. Well, I don't know if I've shown y'all any pictures. I live in the woods. I live literally in the woods, and I set it to follow me and walked to my dad's house, which is about a quarter of a mile through the woods, and it followed me and dodged every branch and kept me centered.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, it was.
My only
badass.
question is it red? Is it Twitch?
No, it's gray.
Oh, gotta repaint that soon. No, those sort of technology kind of fascinates me because, like, I don't know, the tracking side, I don't know how they managed to figure that out. Oh, I do know it's the image processing and stuff, but it's like, it still blows my mind seeing it just work now. I still remember like 5 years ago where it's like, yeah, it works, but it might clip that lamppost on the way. Now it just doesn't.
Right.
See, I'm wondering.
I took a video shot of the water plant that we just finished, which I got to go back to next week. God bless, they sent in another freaking punch list. But the last time I was up there, I took the drone with me, and I took it up about 170 feet and centered it on the flagpole in the middle of the parking lot and made it do a 360 around it. And they're putting it on our company website because we built the entire water plant. And I sent that to Michael, and he was like, "Did you shoot this with your new drone?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And he goes, "Oh, we're going to use that."
See, now I'm wondering.
Brilliant.
It'll track you, right? Is it fast enough
Yes.
that you could be driving and have it follow you?
30 miles an hour.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh man, that's exactly what I wanted for is tracking, following me in a car while I'm filming it.
I was exactly thinking. I was like, I was thinking what you could do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the fact that you already know the exact speed off by heart. Like, have you tested this already?
I have not, but that's what it says. It will track up to 30 miles an hour, and if you move faster than it will go, it will stop. If you get out of its range, it's going to stop. And if your controller gets out of range of it, it's going to go back. Whenever you launch it, it sets itself at a home point, GPS. And if something happens, your controller goes dead. Worst thing happens. So you drop the controller and break it.
Oof.
Okay. As soon as it loses signal, it returns to home and lands. So
that is actually really, I wouldn't have thought of that because like if it knows where home is almost, then you can't lose it, right?
Man, that would work so well. Like flying next to the car, having a mic in the car, you'd be able to. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about my main channel and doing those car videos with it.
Now the DJI does not record sound. The Mini 3 does not record sound. You need to go up to the Mini 4 if you want sounds. But if you're just going to make the video and then, put your comment.
It's a B-roll, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
B-roll.
But it's very loud. The DJ Mini is. I mean, I can hear it at 170 feet. I can hear it whenever it comes back. It's loud. But another thing is, if you fly out of range, if you fly it out and it gets out of range, it's going to stop what it's doing and turn around and come back and get back into range. Then alarms will go off on your controller saying that you're out of range. If you fly out far enough that it says, "Oh, I don't have enough power to return to home," it stops everything and returns to home. So you can't fly it out and let the drone run out of power and it crash.
That's what I was going to ask, because
it's constantly monitoring where it left. It constantly monitors where it left from. And whenever it gets out and it says, "Oh, I've got enough juice to turn around and come back," it just turns around and comes back, and you've got no more control over it. I'm coming into landing, battery power's low.
Nice.
Yeah, they've come a long way with them. The first drone that I had out here, it was a cheapie. It was like $100, and you had to constantly hold a button for it to hover. And I'm messing with the camera, and I'm recording, and then I'll take my finger off of it, and it crashes to the ground. Son of a bitch!
Do you ever remember those? Oh god, they were like helicopter-looking ones, and they had like one stick with all the blades off that central stick. It would you'd like, it's hovering, it's in the wall.
No, these things are wicked. Now the Mini 3 does not work inside because of all the sensors on it. The alarms will constantly go off because it's detecting the walls, it's detecting the ceiling. They barely even launch indoors unless you're in a great, like, you could probably fly it in your garage. Toy work.
Let's figure out how we can all write these off as work expenses.
Yeah, it's a wicked thing. I'm really happy with it.
Cool. Well, as we wrap up the evening, I know we had an amazing time hanging out with you, B.
Hey.
So for everyone watching, listening, subscribe to our channel, to your channel. Where can people find you?
So I am on mainly YouTube at Nectar Mechanics. I'm on TFW. So Transformers World 2005. I do have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a TikTok, but I'm not as prominent there. If you want to chat to me, go to Discord. Again, Nectar Mechanics. It's Nectar Mechanics on all platforms, and I'm mostly on YouTube and Discord.
Cool. And what is your upcoming project that everyone will expect soon?
Hopefully, working 3D printed Ravage cassette transformer. I don't know how far back my video backlog you went, but one of the projects I did last year was a laser beak, and I basically took the guts out of cassette tape, made a working 3D printer transformer, and shoved the guts in there. And it mostly worked. It would keep catching on itself. It would keep like tearing itself apart if you did it wrong. So it worked by technicality, but what I want to do is fix that. So I've got, do you ever remember those like car stereo adapter tapes you get where they've got the big aux cable? I've got one of those instead, because the electronics for that is literally just a cable with a bit of metal on the end. There's no spools, there's no winding it, I've got so much more room to fit ball joints and all these hinges and parts, and a lot less room for error. Technically, it's not an actual cassette tape, but I've tried that. I know it doesn't work, so I'm trying this now. And so hopefully we'll get that out within this month. We'll see, no promises.
Cool. Over to Toy Warp, what do you have coming up?
Work schedule allowing. Still trying to go for completing the Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines videos for covering all the toy line that came out with it, and I'm going to do the retrospective on the cartoon as well. So that's going to be coming up on Toy Warp. And Cruisers, again, time allowing, is going to be another Beretta video this week. So that's what's coming up on both those channels.
Cool.
Black Gold and Orange Blossom Special were the two of those that I had. I never had a Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Never could find one.
Well, they're out there on the secondary market now, that's for sure.
So while we're rounding up, RJ Eagle does have a question for Nectar. Have you teamed up with other animators on some collab work?
I have not. It's honestly been I've been asked a couple times, and it's honestly a little bit tricky because like if they're already experienced, then like that's cool. But a lot of the people who have asked have been asking me to sort of teach them as well, and I don't. It's a bit tricky to do that and also do the work. I'm not averse to it. It's just when schedule allows at the moment. Like I say, so many projects and work as well. It's like when I've cleared through some of that, definitely never say never.
Cool. And over to Cinnambog Arts, what do you have coming up?
Hopefully hearing back from that show where it was either mental health awareness or autism awareness, because that's a jury show, and seeing if my piece got accepted into that. Due date for the jazz festival sing. That was this past Friday, but I ended up not getting around to finishing the drawing for that because I was so busy with family this Easter. The project I still got left that I had mentioned prior and like weeks prior was the or maybe I hadn't, but it would be quote unquote. The subject is very broad, stories, and it's supposed to be more autobiographical. So, I'll probably have to do the drawing for that it'll be on wood panel instead of canvas, and then I'll paint into it. But I'll probably do the drawing for that hopefully tomorrow, and then Tuesday do the painting. Because I think that's due on the 15th. And I'll be at the Dayton Society of Artists.
Cool.
Sounds brilliant.
Mm-hmm. If you're Craig, what do you have coming up for the week?
Well, on Friday on childrenofprimus.com/news and reviews, my photos and write-up for Cybershark will be up. I just finished taking those photos today, and the write-up's mostly there. Yeah, I put them out on Fridays these days. Gives me time to get everything done. Week after that, I don't know. Well, while we were talking, I opened Cheetor and Silverbolt, so one of these guys will probably be my next one after that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still looking for a Silverbolt. That's brilliant.
Yeah, when did you get yours? I got mine's Monday. Both of mine's Monday.
Yeah, they gave me the call to come pick it up a couple days ago. So yeah, this week because I had it on order.
Did you see in the transformation steps that opening up his little doggy mouth is considered the last transformation step?
Yeah, you got to give him. You got to have him howl.
I was laughing at that. I was just like, that literally is a last transformation step in the directions.
Yeah.
Does he have teeth?
Hang on. Yep, he has little teeth.
Yeah, they're there.
They're just not painted. And the tongue.
He looks almost gummy. I love that. He's so happy. Oh my god.
The art for him on the packaging is badass. Mm-hmm. I normally don't keep the packaging, especially that plastic-free stuff, but that box I'm keeping.
Yeah. I like how demonic they accidentally made him look with the yellow eyes and the black paint on the face. Like that's frightening.
Oh, team him up with Russian Ravage.
Oh yeah. Well, they were on the same show. They were contemporaries, so.
Yeah, because Ravage popped up at the end of season 2, and Super Bowl at the start of season 2.
Comrade, soldier. No, Silver will be like, stand back, citizen, because he's like Dudley Do-Right. Yeah, okay, so maybe he'll be the one next
background.
Yeah.
Megatron.
All right, maybe I'll do this guy next after Cybershark's out. Cause
do you got a Black Arachnia to go with him?
Yeah, back here somewhere. Very top. There you go. Transportation for now.
It's a battle, we must go.
My lady.
Cool. So yes, another fun stream with everyone. Again, thank you, Nectar.
Me?
Hey, it's been a pleasure to be here.
Oh, Mr. Magnus, what do you have coming up for the week?
Well, for anybody that's local, June 14th through the 16th,
yes,
OMG Con, I will be doing a panel on extreme collecting. Still haven't got the date of which day I'm going to be in there. I just got the confirmation that I am going to be there. I do have the pre-orders for the SS86 swoops. There'll be 3 of them generating down here.
Generating.
Well, I gotta have 2, and then my daughter's gotta have 1. So I've got her one of each one of the ones. I've got a shipment coming from Chris Labrador, our guest from a few weeks ago. Bought a couple pieces from him. And my core Dinobots are waiting for me at Big Bang Toy Store, so I'm waiting to see if anything else gets in there to combine the shipping on it.
Nice.
But other than that, yeah, that's all we've got so far.
Coolio. So Professor D says till all are one, which is what we say as we're ending the stream. And
Hey.
I would have 5 swoops if I could, says Styrac.
Styrac, that's your thing, isn't it? Collecting all the Dinobots.
So again, thank you for coming out with. It was a pleasure to have you on. Especially since we're almost opposite time zones and everything. So
I was going to ask, what time is it there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just gone like 2 in the afternoon. Hang on, no, 2:20. There we go.
Are you on the same time zone as Japan, or an hour before or after?
Oh
Wait.
gosh, I can't remember now. I'd have to check my app.
Well,
yeah,
he's a
but
day
it actually.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm a day ahead, so it's currently Monday the 8th for me. In the
I
afternoon.
know Japan's 13 hours ahead of me.
Yeah. I'd love to come on for some more streams at some point if I can, but I'm currently off on a break of work for a little bit. But when that starts up, obviously Monday, not great. So we'll see.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, that was me yesterday after taking my niece and nephew out on Friday. That's like, oh my God, my niece had more energy. I guess she's hit puberty. She has all that extra energy that me and my nephew, her little brother, don't. We're like, normally she's the first person to be whining about being tired. Me and my nephew are like, can we leave now? We're tired.
Sarah says, "Oh, that explains why I can barely catch you on the Discord."
Yeah, I sort of pop up for air every so often when I get a chance, and I'm like, I'm going to reply to all the messages that I missed in like 2 a.m. in the morning because they're all in America or whatever. And then it's like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow and check again.
Right. Well, thank you once again for joining it. Anyone that's watching currently, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching later, also subscribe to our channel. Check out all of our social medias, which are in our description. And as we say at the end of every stream, till all are one.
Till all are
one.